accountants and your students and so forth, or you all as academics, where is that marketplace? It's in forensic accounting, it's in financial crimes, it's in money laundering. That's where the expenditure is. We know that, and you can read my handouts or ask me for it, and I'll send you with the link to insolvencies that occurred coincidentally around the same period. You all, I presume, because I'm not a business school teacher, but I presume that, like the law schools, you all are training some of your people as experts in the field of, obviously, forensic accounting, but in looking at financial crimes, and in that case, generally working backwards. They're working from the crime has occurred, and so they're working to figure out how it occurred, or they may be proactive in the sense of tracing the money so that it can be recaptured. In the money laundering field, generally speaking, your students are working proactively. They are going to be working with compliance departments of banks or other financial institutions, and they're going to be looking at how to identify and stop the money laundering before it occurs. And they may be looking at previous methodologies or typologies of money laundering using various reports and so forth to create the structures that they will be employing in their computer models. Somebody like Sarah would be teaching on the computer information system side of the equation, or they may be doing that to employ their methodization of how much money is being spent in the marketplace. And we'll see in the last 4 or 5 years that it's like 100% on 100% a year, and the people who are earning, and this brings me to what I'm to talk about today. There is method to what might seem madness. What makes an expert? So what makes your student, is it simply because he graduated from your business school, an expert in, and I'm just using money laundering here, we could apply it to forensic accounting in general, we could apply it to any studies of paper and what had you. Did you feel like the young lawyer, or going to be a lawyer, because I haven't yet passed the bar, but the young graduate from law school who's stepping off the stage? Are you now an expert attorney after 3 years of study, or really 7 years if you conclude your undergrad, or the expert business school accountant? Are they an expert who could go out and now practice law? The topic is, are experts born or made? Now, was Einstein born Einstein? Was Einstein made Einstein? Let's just poll to see if there is even a debate. For those of you who think Einstein was born Einstein, raise your hands.
That was his name when he was born.
Very good. For those of you who think he was made into the intellectual, powerhouse that is at least as represented as him later on, how many?
Me,
So, I'm going to walk you through what the current state of literature tells us about whether experts are made or are they born. And generally speaking, while some experts may be born, all the literature and the studies that are on record today, as we know the science today, show that experts are made. Hopefully for us in our profession as academics, experts are made, because that's where we're going to add value. Now, before I come to the conclusion in my handout documents, in the little paper I've written for you for this event, I said, who are the winners if experts are born? It's not us, the academics. Well, maybe so. We are the authors. But the real winners are the publishing industry, and I give you some information about the publishing industry. Because if experts are born, well, they don't need us really as academics. They may need us as authors, but they certainly need the publishing industry. But if experts are made, we have a role to play, and a quite important role, and I'm going to take us through that role. But to get to that role, first of all, I have to look at how experts are made. Now, my thinking on this whole topic, because I, as I told you, was in 1998, really before that, as I was thinking about, it was a law kind of, I'm not a clinical psychologist, so learning theory, I can read books. But I came into my new role partly because, and I say I don't know whether it's an upgrade or a downgrade, but it did certainly give me, this was the most attractive part of it when I was interviewing at this particular institution. These two clinical psychologists, both lawyers, that you'll see their names on the board, Dennis and Nancy, and Dennis is certainly one of the most recognized names in clinical psychology for learning theory and so forth, multitude of textbooks translated in every language used in every university around the world, blah, blah, blah. That makes him an expert. They are experts in learning theory who were doing the exact same process I was doing, but doing it maturely, actually scientifically testing their information instead of going gut feel like me doing it online with, not derogatorily, but with guinea pigs like Tom, lucky for me that he's super smart and can learn on his own anyway. But I was experimenting with something, and they were experimenting also. But it seems that somehow it worked. But Dennis and Nancy are actual experts in learning theory because they've written many books on it. So they're applying neuroscience. I also apply neuroscience, but I apply neurolinguistics. They're applying learning psychology, and they're using it in the empiricism of testing. I am also using the empiricism of testing, but I am doing it in the classroom as opposed to them who are doing it within controlled groups and then obviously test groups. Now, it was fascinating because I got to finally bounce off of people who were thinking pioneerly like me. They also were known as pariah in their field, both in law, both in business schools. They had been basically, I don't want to say laughed out, but they were like shooed away. Like, this is very interesting what you all talk about, but it doesn't apply to us in business school. This is very interesting, but it doesn't apply to us in law school. We have the Socratic method. In business school, we have the case method, and so forth. There's only a few learning psychologists around the world, and you'll see in the literature I've handed out, there's, of course, a basis for their thoughts and so forth in Piaget and Descartes. But and Dennis is a recognized chess master. But so I finally got to a point where I could actually bounce my ideas off somebody who asked the same or played a medical doctor.
You can turn to Tom.
That's good.
Tom, on the other hand, is a medical doctor who is also an active surgeon. It's amazing. We call him Superman. But he's done more than all of us in the term combined, I can assure you. But an interesting thing, Tom is also an academic. He is an academic surgeon. He is somebody who teaches medicine in an academic point of view as opposed to just practices medicine. Now, I ask you this, do you want your doctor who is committing surgery upon you, practicing surgery upon you, you could ask this of your attorney too. Do you want a doctor who is committing surgery upon you to be a technician? Or do you want them to be the professional, what I would perhaps consider the expert? Do you want them to be somebody who absolutely, expertly, in the technician sense of the word, does the exact same task, the exact same way, in the exact same time frame for your particular procedure